Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Devon Terrell, and welcome to another Help Me Devon tutorial. And today, in this Help Me Devon tutorial, I'll be showing you guys a way to stop making your compressor work so hard, resulting in something that is lifeless and unwanted within your sound source. Check this out. So first what we're going to do is we're going to listen to this vocal sound. I want you to listen to the vocal, but I also want you to pay attention to the waveform because it's also telling you something about the dynamics of the actual vocal sound. Check this out.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right.
So what you noticed that there was a very loud part on that vocal, as well as some quiet stuff after the loud had passed. Now, what this means is that we have something or a sound source that is very dynamic, meaning there is a big difference between the loudest sound and the quietest sound. When we add compression, a lot of times what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring that loud sound and that quiet sound closer together. Why are we trying to do that? A lot of times when we're mixing vocals and other things, well, when you make those two differences a little bit closer together, you kind of add this glue where it feels more cohesive in your mix. Now, when you're trying to set the volume for your vocal or whatever the sound source is, you won't find yourself needing to adjust it so much where, oh, now it's quiet. Oh, now it's too loud. Now it's too loud. Now it's too quiet. You're looking for something that feels a little bit more glued, a little bit more cohesive, and a little bit more controlled so that you can fit it easier in your mix. This is one of my goals when I'm using compression, and I'm sure it's some of yours as well when you're trying to fight this. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this vocal, and I want you to also look at the waveform and understand that obviously you can see that this part right here is loud or louder, and this part right here is quieter. Now, what's going to happen is when I apply compression, it's going to reach for that loud stuff and not so much that quiet stuff. And what's going to happen is your compressor is going to have to work harder, or there's going to be more gain reduction in order to bring it closer together. Now, the solution would have been in the recording process for, let's say, for instance, the recording engineer to ride the fader, basically keeping those dynamics in the vocal sound, but also compensating for now she's too loud, now he's too quiet, now he's too loud, now he's too quiet. This is pretty much what compression is doing. But when you have a huge difference, you're going to make that compressor work harder because now it's chopping and just catching that loud stuff, as opposed to if it was quieter, you wouldn't have to bring that threshold down so much. Stay with me. Basically, what I want to show you is how to keep the dynamics of your vocal sound or whatever your sound source is, but get to a place where it's more controlled so that when you reach and go into the compressor, you don't have to compress so much from a gain reduction standpoint. The plugin I'm using today is a plugin from Waves called Vocal Rider. You may have heard of it, maybe not. It's one of my favorite plugins. It's one of the first things that I like to typically put on my vocal chain to kind of compensate for that, I don't want to say error, but for that issue that can lead to me making my first compressor work extremely hard. So let's just take a listen to what it sounds like a before and after. Without first, and then I'll engage it.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Oh, baby, just hit me, I'll be right.
So there is a huge difference. And here's the kicker. When I look at my meters, as far as my peaks from that sound source, the crazy thing about it is that there is barely any difference from a peak standpoint. Yet, the one when it's engaged feels louder, feels stronger, feels like it's standing up in the mix. Those quiet parts are getting more volume, while those loud parts are getting attenuated and getting me a sound source that is more cohesive. And now when I apply a compressor, it's not going to have to work so hard, and it results in a better sound. It results in a really, really cool sound for me personally that I don't have to apply so much compression in order for me to get the sound that I'm looking for. Let's deep dive into the plugin. So long story short, the way Vocal Rider works is kind of how an engineer would do it on a board or with a preamp, where you would ride the gain to basically compensate for loud parts and quiet parts. A compressor works like this also, but this right here is something that I like to use before the compressor to kind of make sure that I'm in line with what I want and giving me more cohesion. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to this slider up here. Every time the vocal passes this slider, you're going to notice that this fader right here, which is just volume, is going to knock it down. Check this out.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right.
So what you noticed was that anytime it crossed the threshold, it knocked it down some as far as the volume. And when it was underneath the threshold, you notice that it boosted it about 4 dB. So what's happening is it's making the loud stuff quieter, and then it's making the quiet stuff louder. And it's bringing this 4 dB disparity that was there closer together. So it's basically like you're getting those quiet stuff, that quiet stuff that you weren't paying attention to, about 4 dB higher now, and that quieter stuff is coming down about a dB or two, resulting in a sound that feels a little bit more heavy within the entire thing. And this is what is going to cause your mix to, your compressor, excuse me, to not have to work so hard. Let's go back into the plugin. Also, please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe if you're enjoying this. Now, I'll take you through my settings right quick. So long story short, the way that you set this plugin up for yourself is basically, this is the range. And what the range is for is basically you determining how much you want to boost or lower the sound, whether it's below the threshold or above, to make it short and sweet. This right here, as far as the top of the range, I'm basically telling Vocal Rider, hey, 4 dB. I want to get a 4 dB boost out of this fader here when it's underneath the threshold. This right here is basically saying this is kind of like the floor, or this is how much, as far as the lowest, I want you to be turned down when you're above the threshold. So what I want you to pay attention to is this right here, as you can see right here. When it is above the threshold, you're going to notice it knocks it down, but no more than what I have set on this range for the bottom. And you're going to notice that when it's underneath, it's going to bring it up, but no more than what I have it here on this side. Pay attention.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right.
So as you saw, when it was below the threshold, it went to the range. It looked and said, I will only boost above this. And when it was above the threshold, you notice that it said, I will only cut or bring it down this far. Now, this has been my go-to as far as this. I have this at -1 and 4 for the range. You can decide what you want. If, say for instance, if you wanted those quiet parts to be louder and you wanted it to be boosted more, you can come over here and boost this up. And let's say you wanted it boosted 6 dB when it goes below the threshold. Let's listen to what that sounds like.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply.
Now, you could decide if you like that or not, but I am personally looking for something that feels a little bit more transparent, where I don't notice it as much. So 3 to 4 dB has kind of been my give or take kind of range where I can kind of close that gap a little bit. When I get into the place of like 6 dB, 7 dB, you notice that drop and that loud part. So I kind of keep it in that kind of place of 4 dB, 3 dB maybe of a difference from the drop to the actual rise up, so that it kind of still feels a little natural and not so noticeable in the actual mix. What I also did was I made sure that my sensitivity was pretty high, being that it's a vocal, and I want it fast because I want it to happen very, very fast. You can choose what works for you. And I also brought down the output about -2.5 dB because I did want to match exactly what was coming out from a peak level from the original. I didn't want to lose any headroom for the most part by just having the volume be louder. I wanted it to, I know deep down that it's going to feel louder, but I didn't want to eat up the headroom with my peaks now that it's controlling that. I'll prove it to you just for the last part of this tut. So what we're going to do is I want us to look at this meter right here. And this is my peak meter for my vocal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the peaks for this vocal without Vocal Rider on, and then I'm gonna show you the peaks for the vocal with Vocal Rider on. Check this out, without first.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply.
Cool. So you're noticing that the peaks before the Vocal Rider is at negative 11.8. Now let's engage Vocal Rider. Check this out.
Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right. Send me the Addies, what I see in the reply. Baby, just hit me, I'll be right.
The one with Vocal Rider on feels louder, it feels better, it's more controlled, and it's a more cohesive sound. Yet the difference between the two is only about 0.2 dB. Now, you can't accomplish that with just taking your fader and just basically bringing it up 0.2 dB, because obviously there's going to be a big disparity between both of them. But when you do it this way with the Vocal Rider and kind of compensate for that volume that you've basically increased, now you can truly hear what you actually accomplished with the vocal or with the sound. This is a super powerful trick to help you stop making this compressor work so hard, because now when I apply that compression, it's going to boost some really nice stuff that I want out of it and make it tighter, but in a way that I like and not work so hard, feeling lifeless and squashed. So I hope that was helpful. That was my tutorial on how to make your compressor stop working so hard. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us at Help Me Devon on Instagram. Also, make sure you listen to My Audio Nerds every single Wednesday, and also visit helpmedevon.com to get our HMD Rosetta EQ. Also, make sure you follow our Discord community with a bunch of inspired engineers like yourself, trading secrets and giving game. I really hope you guys enjoyed that, and until next time, you guys.